Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So, welcome back to the School of Geography YouTube page. And this is our third live. So, I'm excited. How are you all today? You can type if you all are seeing me and you all are hearing me. Just say hi, good afternoon. Let me know if this is your first time joining us or if you have been here before. Um, Let me know. Hi, anyone there? So you can let me know. Okay. Hi, everyone. Okay, good afternoon. If you're there and you can hear me, let me know so that we can start our session for today. So, good afternoon. Welcome back to the School of Geography YouTube page. And today we will be looking at population form, right? Last day we started looking at describing settlement. So, settlement form, we're going to continue with that today. So, if you hear, just send me a little message in the chat to let me know. Okay, thank you, Gabrielle Brown Lambert. Nice to meet you. And where are you from? So, guys, it would be nice if y'all could communicate with me in the chat so that I don't feel like I'm just talking to a screen, you know? It's kind of a weird thing to be communicating just on the screen alone, talking to the screen. So, it would be nice if you all can really be active in the chat. So we're going to continue with settlements and we're going to look at settlement form, its distribution, right, and factors influencing settlement on a map and how you can identify the settlement form, identify distribution or explain distribution from a map. And we're going to be looking at a couple maps today as well. So when it's 10 past 5, I will begin. So let us just give people some time to come in who's a bit late. How are you all doing? How are you all doing today? You're from Trinidad and Tobago. Great, Gabriel. Which school do you go to? Which school do you attend? How are you all feeling? How exams coming along? I know some people had orals already. How did the orals go? Are you all nervous for that? Or was it okay? I hope that it was okay. Oh, Camberton High School in Jamaica. That's nice. So we have someone from Jamaica joining us today. That is really great. So it's nice. So when we look at different maps, it's nice when you have other students that can join you from other areas of the country and from the Caribbean. You get a better understanding of the maps. So let us continue, right? So we're going to be looking at Point Michelle map again this today, but we're going to be focusing on the settlement and features that you all will have to identify on the settlement. So let's go. Are you all seeing the PowerPoint by choice, by chance, or no? The PowerPoint should come up now. So let me know when you all are seeing it. Okay, so we're looking at settlements, describing settlement patterns on a map, looking at distribution and form, right? So important things that you need to know when you're looking at settlements. Okay, Kilisia, not yet. It should come up soon. So let us just give it a couple minutes. You're seeing it now? Okay, great. So when you are looking at settlements, I think last day we stopped at, we went through all of drainage. Did we look at the describing settlements? We stopped at factors, I believe, right? So we're looking at, good, Calicia. Did we get into the factors or did we stop at the factors last day? Did we look at factors last day? I believe we stopped at the factors. Okay. So, factors that influence population distribution, meaning the spread of population over an area where people are located. So, you're going to have things like your relief, right? The relief of the land, and we talk about relief being the change in the slope of the land, right? And of course, how it is easier to build on flat land as opposed to land which is steep, right? Making it more difficult for construction on steep slope and also more costly. So if you get a question asking you to describe or explain to factors that influence population distribution, then you should be able to explain, okay, relief is one of those factors, and also giving examples from your map. Make sure that you always state grid referencing, or you give location using your cardinal points exact to the 16-point compass. Everyone understand what I'm saying? So if you, for example, you describe an area on a map and you see that this location has flat land, which makes it easier to build, give an exact location using grid reference, or you can use grid reference for figure grid reference that gives you a general area, and you can also give the name of the place on the map or the area of the place on the map, and also you can give a compass direction, because your examiners will know, okay, you're just not quoting the factors, but you identifying these factors on the map. You understand that? You're following me, right? Coastal areas are also attractive for people, right? People tend to locate nearer to the coast, especially in the islands. Most of our Caribbean islands, we are located on the coastline, right? Because we're an island and we're all surrounded by water. So if you notice, most Caribbean countries, and you'll, like with the exception of Trinidad, our airport is inland, meaning, you know, not on the coast. But if you look at Jamaica, you look at Grenada, St. Lucia, most of these islands, if you have traveled before, their their airport is directly on the coast, right? So coastal areas tend to be an area that is well developed, and that will attract people to locate there, or settlement to locate there. Another thing is, good afternoon, Faith. Nice to have you. Um, is the availability of water. So on your map, how would you identify availability of water from your map? Anybody have an idea? So from your map, if you are given this map, how do you tell that there's the availability of water? So water is very important, right? Where do you, what is an indication of water availability on the map? Can you tell me? Anybody? I'm looking for you all to comment in the chat. Remember, I don't like speaking to myself, right? So, if you are given a map, how can you recognize that there is availability of water? Okay, close proximity to rivers, or as well to beaches. Very good. So most likely when we talk about availability of water, we're discussing in terms of domestic and irrigation purposes. And remember, I think last day I was pointing out that irrigation has to do with watering of crops, right? So you get water to, very good, Gabrielle, as well, right? From your rivers. So initially, right back then, rivers was very important. And I think I was given this example that in Trinidad and Tobago, our capital, St. Joseph, right? St. Joseph was the first capital. And why St. Joseph was chosen as the first capital? Of course, because the ships used to come up that river. Can you believe that? So rivers back then were very important because, of course, they had canoes and all these things, and locating near to a river um, in those times were very important for access to water. Of course, with development, things have changed, but the presence of rivers is very important. Then you have the proximity to transport, and transport come under what we call communication networks, right? And your transport on a map is identifiable through what? How do you identify transport on your map? Or what gives you an indication that there's transport or there's a good network of transportation in a particular area? What do you identify on the map? Nice. Gabrielle is from St. Benedict's College. Very nice. Very good. By the roads. Asanya, I hope I pronounce your name correctly, right? Very good. So roads. So the influence of roads, right? Also remember, transport is not just land, but very good, Gabriel. Ports as well. You have land, air, and water. Airports, harbors, roads is a very good indication of transport networks, and you have population being higher in those areas that are well connected, right? Fertile land. Of course, people are going to locate where, especially in countries, that has a high agricultural presence, and in the Caribbean, farming is important, for some of us. So we're going to locate in areas that has very nice fertile land, right? And then, of course, you're going to locate in an area that is safe. You don't want to locate on marginal areas. When I say marginal areas, areas that are risk or prone to natural hazards such as flooding, landslides, right? You will not go and willingly locate, or settlements not going to be built in swamp areas because it's going to be prone to flooding, or should not, we should say, right? But we know what happened in Trinidad, right? We have people located on a lot of swampland, and when it rains and it floods, then they always quarrel about that. So you know better. So we're moving on. When you're describing population distribution, you also it goes hand in hand with density. And because of that, we tend to see relief, right, being flat again, or gently sloping land having higher population densities, right? Whereas hilly areas or areas that are very steep tend to have lower populations. Sometimes in reality, like with geography, this is a theory. Sometimes we know that, for example, in Trinidad, some of our steep areas or steep land has high population densities as well. Asanya, I don't know if it's the same for Jamaica, but you can let me know. But I doubt people will locate like very high up in the Blue Mountains, that you will have very high population in the Blue Mountains because that's very high, right? But in Trinidad, we don't really have extremely high mountains where people cannot build. So people still build. And I think with a lot of our islands as well, remember, especially the Lesser Antilles volcanic islands, um, that have volcanoes on them, um, some settlements going to be built on steep land as well. But what in general, flat areas tend to have higher population densities. Are you all following with me? Let me know if you're all following with me, right? Flat areas as well tend to have a nucleated or linear pattern because they're going to follow road networks, or they're going to be clustered around a city center or services, right? And agricultural areas, which tends to be flatter, right, will also have higher higher concentrations of people as well as class A roads. So we're gonna go into the settlement patterns. When you're looking at settlement patterns, right? I think last day we started looking at settlement patterns. I'm not too sure, but you have three main types. You have dispersed, you have linear, dispersed linear, and we have nucleated. Remember, we spoke about dispersed being where you have individual houses or buildings located far away from each other, or there's a distance. It's not really clustered, and there's there's no favorable conditions that allow people to locate in that area. So these areas are represented by areas that are steep relief, right? Poor soils and poorly distributed resources. You tend to have isolated or dispersed patterns. Linear has a better development of roads, right? Roads, rivers, and because of this, people tend to locate there. So you have a higher concentration of settlements along roads. So if you look at this map here, you would see that along the roads you have a lot of red dots, and those red dots are representative, sorry, of the settlements. Nucleated is the clustering pattern that you have, where you have like cities, major cities, or areas that are densely populated, high communication access of networks, right? And this is going to attract people to live there. Functions of settlements, and this is also very important. So having a settlement, right, is very important, and settlement serves different functions. So for example, a residential settlement is going to be different from a commercial settlement, right? So anybody have an idea or can give me names of residential settlements that you know of? Or do you locate in a residential area? Are you located in a residential area, or is it more of, a more rural area that is isolated, like farm or agricultural land? Anybody? So just let me know. So you all could just type in the chat if you can identify some residential areas, or are you living on agricultural land? Do you know that there are people that live on agricultural land and that will follow this first settlement pattern, whereas residential areas are more planned, right, and they follow this linear pattern of of land use, right, settlement pattern. So a settlement, if we continue, occupies a large area of land, right? Is usually a main. Grace, I live in a rural area. There are lots of field and farmland. Excellent. Grace, where are you from? A residential area, Gabrielle. And where is that? Duncan Village. Is that south or central? Very good. So, a really nice thing to do, Jabari. So, Jabari, you are from Westmoreland, but what type of settlement is that? Cora. So, Faith, would you say Cora is residential? Is it agricultural? Is it commercial? So, with settlements, I always want you to think about your environment and what do you think are some factors that influence your parents to locate in that area? So, Grace, you are located in a rural area. You say a lot of fields, a lot of farmlands, right? Very good, yes. Um, Gabriel lives in a residential area. Grace is from Princess. I'm from Princestown, South. Very good, right? So we are seeing the differences. Gabriel is in Duncan Village. Then you have Jabari is in West Moorings. So Jabari, what what are some factors you think would have influenced your parents to locate in that area? Grace, what are some factors you think influence your parents to locate in that area? Gabrielle, Faith, you all understand what I'm saying when you look at your safety. Very good. So, safety in terms of what? Is it that it's located on flat land? Or is it away from natural hazards? Because Westmoreland is also very close to the coast. Right. So fair to say it depends on where you live in Cora. Where I live, it's agricultural. Very good. So I want you all, when you all in that exam, and they ask you for functions or to describe the functions of certain months or to explain, remember that you know these things. Go back to why you located, where you're located, and what are the factors surrounding your area. So I like that you all can identify that. So we're going into the functions of settlement. And the functions of settlement, as you said, you have different types of settlements. You have settlements that serve the functions of commercial, that would be commercial and business activity, and they tend to have very high population density and an efficient network of roads. So for commercial, identify some commercial areas. So Asan Asanya Asanya, I actually did my undergrad in Jamaica, so I know quite a bit. Where are you from in Jamaica, and would you say that that area is residential, or is it commercial, or can you name a commercial area for us? Grace is saying there's a lot of land. It's really spacious. We have the flexibility in terms of renovations and stuff. Very nice. The nice thing with what Grace is saying in terms of living in a rural area. Like for me, I grew up in the country, Kumoto. I don't know if you all ever heard of this area, but it's in the east, right? Closer to Sangre Grande side, and we have a lot of space. So it is not totally isolated or dispersed because there's a lot more people living in the area, but we still have a lot of land space. And that is the nice thing about, agricultural areas or rural areas eh, with respect to that. Um, so identify some commercial areas to me, or areas that has high business activity. So that would be like towns. Identify those areas to me. Residential, we know, would be like some of the planned settlements. So, like you'll ever heard about HDC housing developments. You have private companies that build development. Those would be residential, and a lot of residential areas also have a lot of social amenities. So you would tend to see schools, post office, hospitals, etc. So, for example, Trinity in the east, um, there's Trinity and Bishops East, I am not too sure if we have any students from there, but they are located in a residential area, and that is very high. West Moorings is a residential area, and you have schools as well, like international school, Dego Martin. You have a lot of schools in Dego Martin down south. Scarborough, Tobago, excellent Navia. Calicia is saying Port of Spain. So those are our commercial residential areas. You can identify so many of them. Agricultural areas. So we got some agricultural areas already, but there are a lot more areas where you can identify agricultural areas in the country. Then you can also have the function of, in some countries, tourism function is another function of settlement. Some areas serve the functions of tourism. So, like in Jamaica, Asanya, um, like Ocho Rios and Kingston and Portmore is commercial, very good. So, Kingston, you all should know, right, is the capital of Jamaica, right? And Jamaica, New Kingston is very commercial as well as Old Kingston, Portmore. What is some tourism areas? So in Jamaica, in Trinidad, we don't really have sites that are really served as tourism settlements, as tourism functions, but you have certain eco resorts like, the Acerite area that is in the east. Um, you have down south like the Pitch Lake that serve the function, but you don't really um, you have some settlements in the Lebre area that is built around, that Pitch Lake area. But in countries across the Caribbean that depend on tourism a lot, right? That depend on tourism heavily, it is really important that those areas are developed in terms of settlement function as a tourism area. So Asania is saying Montego Bay, Ocho Rios, Negril, right? Those areas in Jamaica are tourism areas. So when you get a Jamaica map and you see these areas on the map, remember that these areas serve tourism. And sometimes they will show you the age. In Trinidad, we don't really have designated areas, but Tobago, you could probably find areas. Anybody know what area would you consider serve a tourism function in Tobago? Okay, so on the PowerPoint, we then have to go into communication, right? But I have a few function questions that I want us to do from the past paper. Castara, very good. Jabari saying glass bottom boat. Jabari, glass bottom boat is not an area, so that would be like Buku. Buku in Tobago serves a tourism area, or the popular area that you like to go. When you go to Tobago, what is the main place people go to bathe? Trinidad, you only know one place in Tobago to go and bathe. You all know that? But there are so many other nice areas, like somebody pointed out, like Astara and Mount Irving. What else? What is that popular, the popular beaches, that area where you have that nice strip of beaches that people love to go to, from Trinidad when we go across to Tobago. And when we go to Tobago, everybody wants to locate in that area. Nyland Pool again, Cilicia and Jabari. Remember Nyland Pool, um, glass bottom boats, those are not areas, huh? Well, you can't say Nyland Pool. So you can say the area, Buku, right? Buku is the area. Pigeon Point. Very good, Gabriel Brown Lambert. Pigeon Point, and then you have that Crown Point. Very good, Crown Point, and that beach that everybody loves to go to. I can't believe you all do. And you go and you get your red mango and you get your crab and dumpling. You all know which beach I talking about? Storby. You all ever heard about Storby? Storby. That popular area, right? Crown Point. So let us go into now some questions from the past paper that I want to see how much you all know so far. So the soft skills, this paper is 2018. So if you all have the past papers, you can pull it up on your computer. It might be easier, or your phone. And the map that we're using is a 2018 map. You're hearing me now? Is this better? Can you all hear me now? Okay, great. So let's do the question. So this question, and when you all get this paper, I want you all to be able to pinpoint which part of the syllabus it's coming from. So this particular question that you're seeing, it is showing you a long profile, and a long profile comes from the topic of rivers. So remember, with rivers, you can look at cross section of a river, and you can look at the long profile. So the long profile shows you the source to the mouth of the river, right? What I want you all to do, if you have the 2018 paper, can you please download it so that you can see it and you can give me the answers? So the first question is asking, at what height is the source of the river? So I'm zooming in a little bit so that you all can see better. What is the what is the At what height is the source of the river? So this is a straightforward question because they actually pinpoint the source for you. Can you see that? So what is that height? Okay, good. Thank you that you all are hearing me again. Thank you. Right. So this the source is in the upper course, but they want you to actually give the height. So you're gonna read off where the arrow is pointing to source and type in your answers for me. So you're reading it off. So you have two on the axis, you have distance downstream in miles, and then you have altitude in feet. So very until until it it is not 3,000. Why it's not 3,000? Because the source is not labeled at 3,000. The source is labeled before that. So very good. Um, Calicia. Calicia has the correct answer. It is 2,650 feet. Remember, it is feet, right? So it's in between. So you see where 2000 is and 3000, then you have the arrow pointing to source. You know that one block here on this graph is 500, so that would be 2005, and then the other one would be 2006, and then it's in between that. It's not on the 700 line, it's right in the middle. So it's 2650 feet. That's okay, darling, we're here to learn, right? We're here to learn. And remember, I said there's no wrong contribution, right? Describe the slope between the source and the school. Did y'all? I hope you all would have done cross sections in school. If not, we can do a little bit of revision. So this question is asking you to describe the slope, right? So the slope, there are different types of slopes. So when you look at contours and contour cross section, and when you draw that slope, they want you to describe what the slope is. Anybody have an idea of what type of slope? First, identify the slope and then you describe it. Describe the slope between the source and the school for me. So this is the source here, and that's the school. Describe the slope for me. Type your answers in the chat. Okay, so very good, Michaela. Michaela, Michaela, what school are you from? Drop your schools, guys. Navia, drop your schools, drop your school. Okay, Jabari. So the first thing you need to identify, very good, Michaela, is what type of slope. So you have concave slopes and you have convex slope, as Michaela identified. A concave slope is what we're seeing here. In the question, when you see a slope that is actually has this sort of indent or this cave, as you could say, when something caves in, you have that 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 slope like that, what you're seeing there, that is concave. And convex is when you have like a belly, it's the opposite of the slope. So concave, you think of like things caving in, right? And it's a steep slope. So you can see from the upper course it's steep. Very good, Michaela. Good going. Right? Um, the upper course is steep, while the lower course is more gently sloping. So you can describe that. You identify it's a concave slope, but it begins in the upper course, right, or closer to the source. So use the words that they gave you. They ask you for the source, right, to the school. So you can say closer to the source, right, which we can identify as the upper course, is very steep. However, as you as the river flows further downstream, closer to the school, you can see that the slope becomes gentle or is gently sloping as it is um, going further downstream. And concave is a type of slope. So concave is where you have that indent inwards, right? And concave is when you have like this belly or protrusion outwards. It's the opposite. Do you all understand that? You all get that? Very good. Michaela, um, Faith, Antelia, BSS. Which school is that? You can identify it for me. Very good. Thank you to all who is contributing. I know that you all are at least understanding something. So let's go. The other question: in what development stage is the river between the school and the sea? What developmental stage? So this developmental stage, meaning which stage of the river or which course of the river is the river between the school and the sea. So let us look at the school and the sea. Barataria South. Very good. Very good. Very good, Antonia. What stage? Developmental stage, meaning what stage of the river is it between the source and the school? Sorry, between the school and the sea. Wrong thing I read. Between the school and the sea. So the school is here, and the sea would be, of course, to the end. So, what development stage or course is that from the school to the sea? Drop your answers for me in the chat, guys. Very good. Very good. Faith, I think you probably answered to what I said the first time around, but it is from the question is from the school to the sea. So the school to the sea is at the lower course or old stage. Very good, very good, very good, Calicia and Michaela. Very good, Grace. Very good, you guys. Grace, Gabrielle Brown. Very good. Now we go into this question. State four features of the site where the town of Burica is located. State four features of the site where the town of Burica is located. So remember, we just went through settlements and why people or why settlements are located in certain areas, right? And that is called the site. So the site is actually the location of a particular settlement. So the site, right? You have two things, site and you have situation. So site is the location of the settlement or location of the town, right? The situation would be what would be the surrounding environment, right? The surrounding environment. So the question is stating, asking you to state four features of the site where the town of Burica is located. So I'm going to pull up the map now and remember the question, four features of the site. So what when you get the when I pull up the map, you look at where the tongue is and then you identify what are some features or characteristics of the site where the tongue is located. In other words, what would have attracted the development of that site there? Are you all following with me? So this is hi David. So this is Burica. I want you all now to identify or state the four features. State the four features of this site, right? So state four features of the site where the tongue would have been located. The tongue of Burica is located. Say the four features of the site. I am hoping that you're seeing it clear. Is it clear on the screen? So state four features of this site. In other words, what are four characteristics or features that would have influenced the development of this site? Right? So that is what they're asking me. What is four features of this site? This is 4 marks. Very good, Gabrielle. It is near or it is on the coast, um, meaning that this area is flat. So one of the characteristics is the flat land being near the coast, right? So it is on the coast, very good. What else is another feature of the site? What is another feature of the site? Remember the different factors that we discussed? Very good, Calicia. So there's water sources or availability of water by the presence of two rivers on either side of the town. So you have Burika Ravine and the Swat Ravine. So two rivers on either side has influenced that site as well. So Gabriel, flat land, yes, and on the coast, that is practically the same point, right? So we have two. So we have the rivers, we have the flat land. What else we spoke about? Jabari, in terms of using settlement pattern, you can't you can use settlement pattern as a feature, but you have to link it to what is the real thing here. What would have influenced this nucleated settlement pattern? What can you see there? Look closely at the map, and what else are you seeing there? What else are you all seeing? Come on. We discussed several factors. So just go back and remember what we discussed. So we have the relief, right? Being that it is flat near the coast. Then we have the rivers. So you just stating, right? The rivers on either side of the tongue, Calicia and Gabriel. Very good, Gabriel Brown. Come on. We need another two more. Asanya. Very good. Transportation. So the transportation in Birica, you see that it's a major road. So when you look at that map, I want you to notice in your key that there is a difference between the colors, I should say shades of the roads on the map. So the major roads are usually in a dark red and a lighter red for the minor roads. So you see that along the coast, there's also a major transportation network that is actually passing through Birica. So that is one character, another feature there. It is well connected. There's a high communication in terms of road network. Very good, very good, Asanya. Transportation roads. Oh, very good, Navia. Nobody mentioned this one. So there is, so somebody mentioned nucleated settlement. So if you want to talk about nucleated settlement, it is probably because of the presence of public amenities and social services in the area. So there is a lot of social services in the area, like somebody mentioned it. There's a school, a hospital, a police station, a post office. And if you can't remember what the symbols are, go to your key and it will tell you. So PO is police, um, post office, POLSCA is police station, HOSP is hospital, SHC is school, CH is church. So the presence of public and social services, right? Influence is another feature there. And then somebody also mentioned there is a quarry, and the quarry would be a feature of again, economic activity or resources, right? There's also something very close to Eureka, like the agricultural center. Are you all seeing that? And that is also resources. So you have resources, right? So there's a quarry, there's an agriculture center. These things may have influenced the development of this site. The flat land being near the coast, the roads, communication networks, social services, water availability. I hope you all have done those answers. Do you all understand that question? Everybody good with it? So the next question on this asks you to fill in a table. So this would be our last question. Unless you all are not too tired and you all don't mind going a little bit more, you all will let me know. You want me to repeat the features? Okay. One, the presence of rivers, water availability, right? So water availability through the presence of rivers. Let me see. The road and communication networks, right? Um, flat land, right? Flat land being near the coast, public and social services in the area, the presence of resources as indicated by the quarry and the agricultural site. You all understand those? So it's at least five we have there. Is that good? So this part of the question now, you have to fill in this table. So we have to look at this question. What I want you all to do is probably take a picture of it so that you all can answer it when I show you all the map. So you have to copy the table, complete table by inserting from the map the type of settlement for the example of places given, one example for the type of settlement given. So we're gonna look for Picadura, Pitchland on the map. Then you got to find one area that is dispersed on the map, and then Burica. So what type of settlement is Burica? That is an easy one, right? What type of settlement is Burica in terms of settlement pattern? Very good, nucleated. So that's the easy one. The other one now you got to repeat, you have to find a dispersed pattern. So let me show the map large so that you'll be able to identify it. Very good. Nucleated. Can you all find any area that is dispersed on the map? So you have to locate a dispersed area. It might be a little bit difficult to do it from over here, but you will be looking for areas that have one little dot here, another two elsewhere that is far. So nucleated is correct. Okay, so what type of settlement pattern can you see at Michelin? Michelin, Michelin. Look at Michelin here is on the screen here. Michelin, can you see Michelin here? Okay, good. So Michelin is linear. So they gave us three areas to identify. So you look at Michelin. I think Dublin is another one. Let me see if I can find that one so that you can see what that looks like as well. Look, Pico Due here, Pico Due, Pico Due. This is French, I believe. It's also linear. That area that I'm showing on the screen now, that is also linear, right? Located along the road. Pico Due, Pico Due, Pico Due, Pico Due, right? And that question is straightforward for settlement on the map. So on the map, right, the other question is describe three ways in which relief has influenced the drainage area indicated on the map. Describe three ways in which relief has influenced drainage of the area indicated. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go through drainage so that you can answer this question. So let us look at the relief, the influence of relief on drainage. And then we're going to go back to the map. Okay, so can you all see it here? Is Pendu also linear. I will have to check it when I go back to the map. So can you all see my PowerPoint now? So the next question is, say three ways relief has influenced the drainage on the map. And remember, when we talk about drainage, we're looking at rivers, right? So, okay, so relief, you're seeing relief? One second, my computer needs to charge. Okay, so relief. You all with me? You all can see you all can see the PowerPoint. So the influence of relief on drainage. This is a question they like to ask all the time. So drainage is influenced by relief, right? Because we know that the steeper the land in terms of the gradient, the higher the velocity, or the faster I should say the velocity of the river or the flow of the water down the slopes, right? So you see here on steep slopes, right? Water flows quickly, cutting downwards and creating steep V-shaped valleys. So one way in which you can tell, right, that one way in which you can tell on your map that relief has influenced the drainage, you will look for V-shaped valleys. And how can you identify V-shaped valleys on your map? On your map, you would see a river, and then on either side, you would see the contours closely together on either side. So you would see in areas where a gentle slope, rivers where the slope is gentle, rivers flow a bit slower, and you would see it begins to meander. So like in the middle course of the river, where the velocity slows down because of the gentler slope, you're going to have a wider channel. So it's not going to be as V-shaped. So you're going to see wider contours on your map, which will indicate lateral erosion and wider valleys. And then the last portion is where you have flat land, right? On a map, you can see sometimes swamps or marsh areas on a map that indicate, of course, that area is very flat, right? So now let us go to your map. So let us go to the map now. And the question is, state three ways in which relief has influenced the drainage of the area indicated on the map. So you're looking at the entire map. You state in three ways in which relief has influenced the drainage of the area. So let me share the question. So if you want to take a picture of that, you take a picture of it and then we'll go to the map for you to answer it. Everyone can see the question. So three ways drainage has influenced this map now. And then we will stop here and I will continue with the rest of it. And then we can go on to doing some more past papers. So I feel like tomorrow we can log on and finish up this past paper with the rest of it, the PowerPoint on relief, how relief influences vegetation, how relief influences all of these different things. So on this map, three three ways in which relief has influenced the drainage on this map. Three ways in which relief has influenced the drainage on this map. Can you all see the map? Is the map clear on your end for you to be able to identify it? This is the last question, guys. Let's finish up strong. So, three ways in which relief has influenced the drainage on this map. Three ways. So, since you all are seeing the map, this is the last question for now. So, three ways. So, we just spoke about it. So, three ways in which relief has influenced the drainage on this map. Excellent, Antilia. The drainage pattern, very good. So what is the drainage pattern on this map? So relief has definitely influenced this drainage pattern. So what is the drainage pattern? And tell me how relief has influenced that. Remember this question that they ask in here. Let me tell you how much marks it is. This map, this is 3 marks, right? So they didn't want you to describe, they just want you. So you could say the drainage pattern, the type of slope, fit, I don't think what you have to um three ways in which drainage influence relief has influenced the drainage. So relief would have influenced it in the drainage pattern because what type of drainage pattern we have on it, as well as anti the type of slope, meaning what type of slope do you have here is very important. But you can also state what else is another point. So we have the drainage patterns, the type of slopes that you have. I can't we can't say distributary. Is it dendritic? Calicia, you may have some dendritic, but it is predominantly what type of drainage? Remember, we went through the drainage patterns. So the three types, which one is found on this sort of landscape? Because by the names given, you have names like Soufre. When you see Soufre, you know it's a volcanic map. And the drainage presence on volcanic map is what type? Look at how it, remember, it radiates from a central point. So look at it here. This type of drainage here, this type of drainage here, this type of drainage here, right? I'm showing you all the different areas. You rarely see, you have mainly one area here, the ravine Silbuli River. That is more dendritic, but otherwise, remember, always identify the major drainage pattern first. Go with the major, always go with the major characteristic, major feature, major answer first, and then go with the least. So if you're seeing more of a particular drainage, you identify that first and then leave the other one. So so that drainage pattern is what? Radial, very good, radial. So it's predominantly radial drainage, and we said that it influences three ways: the type of slope, right? That's correct. The drainage patterns. One more thing. We can't say distributary. So we can say that it influences the drainage pattern and also the flow. Relief would influence the flow or the direction of flow of the river and the type of valleys that you have. You all understand that? The type of valleys, because you see that you have a lot of steep V-shaped valleys. So it's a radial drainage, right? In terms of the relief, meaning the steepness of the slope or the gentleness of the slope, has influenced the type of drainage pattern, the type of slopes that you have, the direction of flow of the river or the drainage, right? And the type of valleys in terms of V-shaped valleys. Is that okay? Do you all understand that? Anybody have any other thing that they want to say? Okay, so I think we had a good session today in terms of completing these questions, but we still have two more questions on the question paper that I would like to really finish up next. Maybe tomorrow we can do a little session on relief, how relief has influenced vegetation and and those type of questions. So tomorrow, let me know if you all would be up for a class tomorrow. Would you all be up for a session tomorrow evening to finish off this paper? You'll understand how to answer that question on relief. How is that influence drainage? Everyone have those answers. So you talk about influencing the drainage pattern, the types of slope, the type of valleys that you have, and also the direction of flow of the river. Okay, so we can, I'm seeing most people saying yes. So tomorrow we will finish off this paper and we'll continue the PowerPoint on relief. So thank you all for coming. Remember to share with your classmates. Remember to subscribe to the same 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock. Remember to share with your friends, right? Share with your friends the link for the School of Geography YouTube channel. Okay, Faith, if you can't make it live, you can always go back and check the recording because it will always be there. Remember that. But the live sessions, you can get your question answered. That is the thing. So just share the YouTube with your classmates and other people who might need help with the map work for geography. Click the notification bells and remember to share, right? So have a good evening and I will see you all tomorrow, please God. Before you all leave, let me know one thing that you all learned today. One, okay, I will try to change it on my end. Can you all let let me know one thing that you have learned in today's session? Quickly, one thing that you have learned from today's session, or one thing. You're welcome, Makila. I hope you all are enjoying the sessions. Are you all? Bye, Grace. So, one thing that you all have learned today, one thing that stood out for you today, the radial drainage. Very good, Lisa. Lisa, what school do you go to? Grace, you learned about concave and convex slopes. So I will do a whole PowerPoint on contours to go through that and I understand more about the topic of drainage. Very good, Antilia. Yes, the influence of relief on drainage. That is a very important aspect that they ask all the time. And the other question right after that is the relief. The they ask you to state three ways relief has influenced settlement. So tomorrow I'm going to be going into the relief aspect. St. SJC is St. Joseph Convent, is it? Miss, I learned how to identify the relief on the map. Excellent. Okay, so thanks for your feedback and I will try to change the notification. Very good, Chelsea. And thanks for coming on again. Let you other friends know and share. Have a good evening. Bye.